Craig of the Creek may follow the adventures of Craig and his friends as they spend their days exploring the creek, but it's all of the other Creek kids that they meet along the way that make the show what it is. A lot of the Creek kids are featured in the show's intro, and I thought it would be fun to go through it and see when and how each group of kids in it was introduced. In our first shot, we see two groups. Front and center, we see Wildernessa and her dog, Cheese Sticks. They show up fairly early in the series, appearing in the 6th episode, fittingly enough, named Wildernessa. True to her name, Wildernessa is a kid who feels more of a kinship with the wild nature of the creek than human civilization. Though she still presumably lives in the suburbs like a normal kid, she still looks forward to a simpler time.
When nature has taken back these suburbs, and the creek runs red with the blood of humanity. What?
She was central enough to her debut episode to name it after her, getting an awesome battle against Kelsey, and setting the plot in motion by inspiring her to champion the freedom of animals. After helping resolve the crisis at the end, however, Wildernessa fades into the background and is rarely seen. On either side of Wildernessa in the opening theme are the 10 Speeds. Like Wildernessa, they're characters who don't get into the main action very often. They do help Craig and friends out a lot in their first major appearance though, in the 5th episode, Too Many Treasures. When Craig needs a new bicycle wheel to repair the chairlift, the 10 Speeds are the obvious kids to go to for help. They know where Craig can get a new wheel, and after Craig fixes Handlebar's flat tire, they take the team to the junk pile where... well, we'll get to that later. Our next kids, the Junior Forest Scouts, function mostly as antagonists for Craig and his friends. Their leader, Jason, was actually introduced in the 2nd episode, You're It, as a potential target for Kelsey to pass on her affliction of being it to. It showed Jason being a jerk, and the gang commented on how they disliked the Forest Scouts, but he wasn't the focus of the episode. It wasn't until the next episode, Jessica Goes to the Creek, that all 3 Forest Scouts appeared. Thanks to them, all of Craig's traps were put to good use, and the gang had someone to escape from just in the nick of time. Also, Jason protected the creek from broken glass. The next Creek kid in line is Kit. Like the 10 Speeds, she plays mostly a supporting role for quite a while, but since she runs the most popular hangout spot in the creek, she's definitely a major supporting character with a lot of appearances. In the very first episode, Itch to Explore, she's the one to supply the gang's expedition, and talks up the danger of the poison ivy grove. In the next episode, she's one of the kids we see Jason harassing, and the trend of his asking for free stuff from her, and Kit refusing to give him anything without trading, continues in the 3rd episode, Jessica Goes to the Creek. Kit is the glue that holds the creek together. Stax is the next kid in the intro. She gets her first appearance fairly early in the series, being in episode 4, the final book. Not really a Creek kid, Stax instead spends her days in the library as a book report writer for hire. In her debut episode, we see the friendship between her and Kelsey, as despite their different choices of habitat, both share a love of reading. Afraid that she might lose Kelsey as a friend, Stax hides the last book in the Yithrith of Scriggith series, though with some helpful advice from the Smarty Boys, Craig is able to crack the case. Kelsey forgives Stax, and after she finishes reading Yithrith of Scriggith, she moves on to the Trials of Trebulon to chat about it with Stax, even though she doesn't normally read sci-fi. After Stax, we see the Junk Lord. Remember the 10 Speeds? He sure does.
Were the helmets on spikes not enough to keep you 10 thieves away?
After the 10 Speeds race off in Too Many Treasures, Craig and his friends enter the domain of the Junk Lord. He has the wheel they need to fix their chairlift, but not only is he not willing to give it up, he wants to take Craig's treasures to make up for what's been taken from him in the past. After Craig's bravery giving up his treasures to prevent a deadly fall from a cliff, he decides to let the gang take the wheel. Plus a cool shield and a domino. Next comes the Sewer Queen. Setting aside the pilot, where she was first portrayed as an antagonist laying claim to Craig's staff as it had fallen into the sewers, her first appearance in the main series is in the 13th episode, Lost in the Sewers. In this episode, Craig has been invited to map the sewers and is impressed by the Sewer Queen's leadership abilities. But when the Queen is swept away by a sudden flood, Craig tries to step up as a leader and learns that having all of the answers isn't as easy as it looks. Again though, he manages to come up with a plan to save the day and they rescue the Queen, getting a car for their trouble. And now we're getting to the older kids. They may not hang out at the creek much, but Tabitha and Courtney, also known as the Witches of the Creek, first appeared in the 10th episode, The Curse. Fan favorites ever since their character designs were shown in the intro, they also won people over with a great episode. Even though Tabitha curses Craig and his friends for spying on her and Courtney, the witches end the episode as allies of Craig after being impressed by his bravery. Not only did they break the curse, they put Craig under their magical protection, and will be there to help with matters of magic in the future. Last but certainly not least come the Elders. If you've never seen these guys before, check out I'm in Your Manger, Killing Your Savior, show creators Matt and Ben's 2007 YouTube short featuring everyone's favorite elders, Mark, Barry, and David. In Craig of the Creek, they're still funny, and they're still voiced by their original voice actors. Mark, the one with the cape, is voiced by Ben, and Barry, the biggest one, is voiced by Matt. Their first episode is You're It, Episode 2, and in it, Craig and friends seek wisdom about the start of the game of tag that has ravaged the creek since time immemorial. Alas, they cannot provide the answers to free Kelsey from her curse, and so the gang must come up with a solution on their own. And that's every kid in the intro. Which one was your favorite when you first saw the theme? Which one is your favorite now? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video.